Okay, I'll defer to the audience's questions.
Yeah,
At
we
least
have a
for a
question
while.
from, we do have a question from Charles, which I think we should touch on here, Erica, because we're on that
Exactly what
subject.
I was going to ask you right
All
now.
right, go ahead. Why don't you read it and then we'll answer it.
Okay, so actually, I had a specific interest in this myself when I saw Charles's question because we did a socially responsible investing webinar last year, and one of my thoughts after attending it was, okay, now that I've looked at this list of different funds and different ways they've defined what is socially responsible. I agree with some of these and I don't agree with others. If I was interested in investing in this, could I pick and choose? And so Charles asked, if we wish to invest in companies that are socially responsible, who decides what the score is for each company? Who provides the blueprint companies must follow? Who evaluates and scores their performance? And who decides whether whole industries can be excluded? So I guess my question on top of that would be, if you are choosing this, because you, Larry, have sort of made this distinction between ESG versus kind of like the more, I'm sort of cherry picking based on my value, socially responsible. So my question on top of all of Charles's questions for you would just be, is there an option where you can decide based on these scores that have been created for each company to invest in one and not another?
Yeah, this, unfortunately here, I don't have great news for our audience today. There are, let me use an analogy. If we look at corporate bond markets, there are three rating agencies: Moody's, Fitch, and S&P. Now, if you look at the rating of company A and you happen to use Fitch and they get a triple B, the odds are almost 100% that the others will also rate it triple B, and the small difference may be one rating up or down. You're not likely to see somebody rate a company triple B and somebody else rated triple A and somebody else rated triple C. The correlations are actually above 99%. So that makes it easy. When you look at the ESG, you have 7 major companies and they have very wide dispersions of their ratings. And that dispersions come because everyone has different values. Just think of it in this perspective. One rater might decide to take 1/3 of the score and apply it to the E, 1/3 to the S, and 1/3 to the G. Somebody else may say, well, 70% we're going to apply to the E, 20% to the S, and 10 to the G, and you could get 7 different ratings. Within the environment, is it how much pollution? Is it what is called scope 1 pollution or emission, scope 2 or 3? Just for our audience to explain, scope 1 emissions, which is what most people report on, and there are no mandatory requirements now, although the SEC is proposing some. Scope 1 emissions is what goes into your product. Scope 2 is looking what is everything that goes into the product, meaning the supplies that come in. And scope 3 is everything, including until it gets to the consumer and use. So you can think about Amazon. Somebody might say, hey, they don't produce any product, and maybe all their servers are run by, environmentally friendly solar panels and stuff. But then you think about scope 3 and you see all these trucks driving around neighborhoods polluting the air. And so somebody could rate them poorly. You think about the S side. How do you decide if a company is diverse? Is it number of women, minorities in manager positions, or on number on boards, or pay gaps, or all three, and how do you weight them? There are all kinds of issues. In the book, we show the various metrics that people look at, but everyone can decide and weight on them differently. I think what we're never going to see is a standard that says this is what it must be, because first of all, Jim's views on what's important may be different than mine, and I think that's a good thing. We get to understand that and we can express our values. But we are moving to an environment where we're going to see a lot more transparency. Companies are going to be forced to disclose about all of these issues. how many women and minorities on boards, what are pay gaps, what are scope 3 emissions. So that's going to help in this area. But the news, sadly, is you're going to have to pick. You can either decide, I'm going to decide what industries I'm going to, exclude or not. I'm going to decide I'm going to go with Morningstar's ratings, or I'm going to go with S&P and just trust them. You could do some due diligence on them, or that's an area where a good financial advisor could help you and say, we think this is a good way to go. Another strategy, which I like, is dimensional. They've got more PhDs than anybody else out there looking at all these issues and studying it. You might trust their judgment and say, that's great, I'm satisfied, nothing will be perfect. Even if I choose myself, there are negatives. You're going to screening out far more companies, you'll have less diversification, and you're not going to be able to do the due diligence required on the thousands of companies you're going to want in your portfolio. So I think, again, that we're moving in the right direction. You're just going to have to make a good enough decision. It may not be perfect. So hopefully, Erica, that answers your question and Charles's question.
Absolutely. As with so many complicated subjects, that was a very detailed and nuanced answer that essentially also says there isn't one set answer. It's very complicated and evolving, right?
Again, for people interested, we do discuss this in depth in the book and the issues related to it. So you can learn more about that by reading the book.
Yeah, I'm sure. I have had the privilege of reading the other book that we are offering for free to attendees today, Your Complete Guide to a Secure, what is it? Successful
and successful retirement.
Secure and successful retirement. Sorry, I thought that I had it correct in my head. Anyway, that is a great book. And I felt like it really does a great job of just explaining very complex topics in layman's terms, and also breaking down kind of like what this means for you as an investor, as well as just for the broader market and trends and things like that.